All right, welcome back into another episode of To The Show Baseball Podcast, presented by Beyond the Monster. I am your host, Andrew Parker, and today's episode, we are diving into the Chicago Cubs organization. I have Dawson Netz on, and he's got a very, very unique journey just in 2025 alone, being an undrafted free agent from last year and starting his pro career in April and just kind of getting off in the ACL for a little bit. Just got promoted up to Low-A Myrtle Beach, where he has had two fantastic outings since he started. So we do kind of dive into that, talk about his journey a little bit. Obviously not being signed for like a year, it's very interesting times for minor league baseball players just trying to find jobs and everything like that. So we do kind of dive into that a little bit. And we talk about his homage to the University of Arizona, where he spent all of his college career. And we dive into all of it. But before I do shoot to the interview here, whether you're watching me on YouTube right now, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever it is you are listening, please like, subscribe, making a huge push right now on the YouTube channel, just trying to get subscribers. It is free to do so, by the way. It is very much free to subscribe on YouTube. So please help me out there. I appreciate all of them. But without further ado, let me shoot you on to the interview. Dawson. All right, I am joined by Dawson Netz, and Dawson is fresh off winning a couple weeks back Pitcher of the Week award, and then he ended up getting promoted right after that, which is right where I want to begin this conversation. Dawson, you've had kind of an interesting 2025, obviously being signed and starting your pro career as an undrafted free agent, and and getting to where you are now. Let's take a look back in the rearview mirror. How has it been for you this year, just overall?
It's been good. I would say this time last year, I thought my baseball career was actually over. So it's been a wild ride up until this point, and I did not expect it to end up with me throwing in Myrtle Beach to finish the year. So it's been cool.
Yeah, that is something that is unique actually about your journey is, obviously, the draft comes and goes in 2024 and you don't get selected. So then you go play summer ball in the MLB draft league and, you're still not signed anywhere. So how was that experience like? Obviously, like going through the draft, not having your name called, and then going through the summer into the fall, winter, and still not being there. Like how did how did you keep it going to just like stay on the radar of teams?
Yeah, so once the draft league finished up, I stayed for an extra week because it turns into an indie ball league after. And I kind of just did an audit of what was going on around me. And I was like, you know what? I've been pressing really hard and I want to get signed. And I think I'm pressing too hard and was really just not satisfied. I felt like I threw well enough to get signed, but at the same time, I knew I was a little bit older. I knew that the orgs that were looking for free agents were already filling up spots, and I didn't really fit the bill for what some orgs were looking for. And nothing against them. I think after that, I slid right into an analyst role at my former school, University of Arizona, on the pitching side, and help guys work in our pitching lab and learn some things about themselves. And I think moving over to that side of the game and being in more of a analyst role and seeing things happen behind the scenes, I think I understood what I didn't know, and that was how to really maximize different things analytically about myself and how to get the most out of myself as a player. So um, it was hard for me, but I didn't realize that there were so many things that I left on the table prior that I could have been working on and refining and sharpening as a player that I've really started to focus on lately, and is why I think I've had a little bit of success this summer.
Were you, you're obviously we're talking about you went towards an analyst role while you were
Mhm.
waiting. Was that something that you were fully prepared to, I guess, dive into that side of things? Like maybe you're like, hey, I got to hang up the cleats, like no longer on the playing side. Were you just fully prepared to take on a coaching analyst type role?
No, I think I was kind of forced into it based on where my career was. I knew I wanted to stay into the game, but I felt like, all right, I can keep playing indie ball, or I can go and kind of jump headfirst into coaching and figure out like, okay, how do I want to pursue a career on this side of the ball now? And I knew that was something I always wanted to do. I didn't think it would have to start that early. Um, but once I got into it, I really liked the guys that I was around, and it was actually really enjoyable being on staff with the coaches that coached me when I was there. Um, and I ended up really liking it, and I thought that was kind of going to be my career for the next 15 years. So kind of interesting how that all ended up.
Yeah, and obviously it led you to the Chicago Cubs, where you have latched on now. And like I had mentioned before, you were named the ACL Pitcher of the Week in the final week there that you weren't. And you ended up getting promoted up to Myrtle Beach. But I want to talk about it. Obviously, you signed later than a lot of the other guys in the draft class per se, and you were kind of had a later start than a lot of the other guys. But you've pitched very well. And obviously, you've gotten up to Low-A, and you've had 2 outings now that have looked great. So, I guess, how has it been so far in Myrtle Beach and trying to get adjusted to affiliate ball?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from the West Coast through and through, from LA, and I spent the last 6 years playing and on staff in Arizona. So hadn't really been anywhere further east than that. I mean, I did play summer ball in Maryland last summer, but that was just for a short stint. So other than that, really not familiar with this area. Getting out here was a little bit of a shock, but so far I'm really enjoying it. Outside of the humidity, but it's been really enjoyable. I love the group of guys we have out here. I really like our org. I think we have a great structure, and the support staff that we have, everyone's just super helpful, and everyone really wants you to succeed at what makes you good specifically, as a person, and the culture's awesome. So it's been a pretty seamless transition to answer your question.
Yeah, and I had mentioned too, you've had the 2 outings since you got promoted, and you've had pretty good numbers. Just looking at the box score, I'm not sure how you're feeling like physically and all that, but from the look at the box score, you look like you had some good outings. So, what do you credit the success for after the promotion?
Yeah, I think it's just staying true to what makes me good, and um, not overthinking any of it. Um, Understanding, okay, like how do my metrics play, and what shapes do I need to throw from my slot, and what am I trying to set up? What works well to a certain platoon of a hitter, and staying true to that, and understanding, okay, like I can throw an off speed pitch early and a guy can ambush it, but I know my odds are still higher if he likes to swing early to throw something soft. So staying true to how the odds play in my favor and not deviating from that, I think has really helped me lately to simplify the game and just go at hitters.
Something I find very interesting listening to you is, I always talk to a lot of pitchers around minor league baseball, and guys that are brand new to affiliate ball, or guys that have been bouncing around the minor leagues for 6, 7 years. And it always seems like it's like you're on one side or the other for a pitcher. It's like with the whole data and analytics aspect. It's like some guys tell me, they're like, I want to know what my pitch shapes are. I want to know what, everything is about every single one of my pitches. I want to know what's good, what's not. Then I have guys on the other end that are just like, I just want to throw the white ball over that plate, and that's really all I want to do. I'm very old school. So it's very interesting to hear this. And I had just had a guy on in the Twins organization that is down in Fort Myers right now, and he's like, I want to know everything. He's like, I want to know like my horizontal break. I want to know this. I want to know that. I want to know everything. Would you consider yourself a pitching nerd, like that you want to know every single characteristic about all of your pitches?
Yeah, I would say so, because I feel like it gives you the answers to the tests that you're going to take for the game. I think it helps simplify exactly what you're doing, because so often you see guys at our level like, oh, I had success at the high school level or at the collegiate level doing certain things. And it's like, well, that's a completely different game and you can't really quantify that. So usually if I have a bad outing, I know it's either because my shapes on each pitch were bad, my location was bad, or the velo on each pitch was just bad. Um, and that helps me to be very calculated with how I approach things. And I know if I'm throwing the right shapes at the right velocity and the right quadrants, I'm gonna have success more often than not. And it doesn't guarantee that, right? But it gives me the best odds, and all I'm trying to do is stack the odds in my favor. I think the beautiful thing about baseball and pitching specifically is you can get as refined and efficient as possible as a mover and as a thrower off the field. But at the end of the day, we have to play a game. So being able to blend those two mindsets and spheres of thinking to be able to have success within a game in a game mindset and attack hitters and be able to just trust your preparation and be like, okay, I know this is what I've worked on and this is specifically what helps me to have success. Now I just need to trust it.
How does how do you balance that truly? Because I know, like, for example, like some people are, they might try to be a perfectionist or something, and it's like you're looking so much into, every piece of data in your pitches, and you're just like, I need to get this as perfect as I can be, and then you go outing to outing, you're like still not there, still not there. Like, how do you not drive yourself crazy and just like, I need to get here and I'm not there? So like, how do you balance that?
Yeah, I think it helps me to relax a little bit because I used to be the kind of guy that would go and look at video for hours after an outing and try to figure out like, okay, am I holding my shin angle properly? Like, is my arm in the right spot? And it's like those are very subjective things, but objectively, I can look at, okay, I'm throwing my fastball on average, let's say at 92, and the shape on it is carrying 19 to 20 inches of vert from uh, a sub 6 foot release height. And it's like, those are all good metrics. Now let's check where I'm throwing it in the zone, in the proper counts, in the right quadrants. And if I'm doing that, okay, I can go home, I can play Fortnite, I can do something and enjoy the rest of my night and not worry about like what I'm doing to maximize myself because I know I'm staying within my profile as a player and I'm doing everything in my power to maximize that. So now, like I said, I can just go home and not think about it.
Okay. Yeah. No, that is super interesting because I know, like I'm just trying to put myself into, like, let's say your shoes or like another guy. I think I would drive myself absolutely crazy, just like because I
Mm,
feel like I would probably lean more towards, the pitching nerd side, where it's like I want to, like you said, you have the every answer to the test, and you just gotta, like, I don't know, I would go crazy. I know
yeah.
that that's just my personality, like, and I know some guys are probably like that as well, where they're just like want to try to perfect it every time. I don't know. I don't know how you guys do it. There's minor league baseball is not easy, and you're always thinking about, like, when am I getting promoted? When is all this? And then you got to add in the aspect of looking at your own pitches and everything. I don't know. You guys got a tough job, so kudos to you for being into that. But you had brought up something a little bit earlier that I did want to ask you about. Obviously, I would consider you probably a West Coast guy, based off what I heard earlier. Like, I would probably
Mm.
consider you West Coaster, and now you're all the way on the opposite side of the coast. I know you said it was a little bit interesting to get adjusted at first, but have you had any, like, I don't want to say, I mean, you're in the same country, so it's not like you have like a culture shock or anything, but
Yeah.
what's life been like? I guess any challenges getting out on the East Coast compared to the West Coast?
Um, yeah, I would say just dealing with how much sweat that I have to mitigate on the field, I guess. Because when you're in Arizona, it's hot, but it's pretty dry. So like in between innings, like it's pretty easy to dry off. But out here, you're having to use a lot of rosin. You're trying to get a good grip on the ball. But also on the flip side of that, like I'm able to throw certain shapes with each pitch that are better because the way that the air interacts with the ball. So my fastball might have averaged like 17 inches of vert in Arizona, but here it's averaging 19 and 20. So a lot of guys don't realize that based on the climate you're at, you can actually have better stuff. So I'm actually really enjoying that lately, and it's funny to see like a TrackMan report of thrown in Arizona versus out here.
Yeah, I've had some guys that are out in the PCL, and obviously, I had a good episode with Nick Mears, who used to pitch in Colorado, and he was telling me the differences between, he's in Milwaukee now in their bullpen, but he was kind of like, hey, when I was in Colorado, Coors Field, I had to throw my pitches in a different spot than I do when I would go to Milwaukee or Texas or wherever it was, and it's very fascinating to hear about that. That's such a key, pitching and I guess pitches. So it is interesting, and that ball flies out west. I know you're probably used to it, but out east, you got some thick air out there, man.
Yeah.
Got some humid air. Have you had anything you missed though, outside of baseball, not on the field? Like I guess just like everyday life. I know it's a little different on the East Coast. Do you miss anything, like any of your favorite fast food places, anything like that?
I do miss going to In-N-Out all the time.
I figured.
Yeah, that's a staple on the West Coast. Let's see. Other than that, I really don't eat out much, but In-N-Out was my main spot, so definitely miss that.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I've had In-N-Out a couple times in the state of Texas, though. It wasn't really that good. I don't know if it's just because it's so far away from Cali. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I gotta
In
give it another
California,
try.
it's definitely a lot different, in my opinion.
I have a personal opinion that, since Whataburger is so big in Texas, that like the In-N-Outs that are there in Texas are just like they kind of water them down a little bit, so they're not as good. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. Just a theory
Yeah.
of mine. But all right, so you're in minor league baseball. Every single Monday, you have an off day in minor league affiliate ball. What are you doing on your off day? Like, what do you do in your free time?
Yeah, I mean, I really haven't been able to enjoy much of it yet because this last Monday I was getting my apartment set up because my first week we were on the road in Charleston, so I haven't really been able to do much. But 2 weeks ago when I first got here, I literally got here, spent the night, woke up in the morning, jumped on the bus, so I didn't get to do much. And then, like I said, this last week I was just getting my living situation squared away and everything. So I haven't been able to explore much, but I plan on playing a lot of golf here. So
I was going to ask that because you're probably in the golf capital of the world, or not the world, the country. I would say Myrtle Beach is pretty fantastic for golf courses.
I have heard it's really nice. So I need to go check that out.
Yeah, it's one of the top spots. I don't know if it's number one. I may have just been exaggerating a little bit, but I know it's up there. I think they have like the most golf courses per capita in like the States. I'm almost positive. I might have to fact check myself,
Wow.
but so I apologize if I led you astray there. All right, so I want you to show some love right now. I talked to you a little bit about it before we started recording, but you are an Arizona baseball guy. Spent some years there. It's obviously kind of shaped who you are today. I've talked to quite a few guys that played at Arizona, and they always have nothing but great things to say. So what was your experience like playing down at Arizona?
Yeah, it was awesome. My coach or my head coach there, Chip Hale, who I played for and then worked for, he's been a joy to be around. He's really open to everything and super helpful. He loves just being a part of the game. Um, he loves seeing guys who used to play at Arizona walking around. I mean, in the off season, we have a large group of guys working out. So it's really cool to see guys at all levels come in and throw, lift, hit. Like there's just so many alumni just walking around, working out and doing stuff. And then some of the guys that I worked closely with, John DeRoyne, Kevin Vance, Owen Cuff on the pitching side, just some really smart dudes. I would attribute most of the knowledge that I know to them. I feel like they really helped me to understand pitching from an analytical perspective and really helped me to grow in my knowledge and really showed me some of the things I taught myself and helped get me to this point. So I got to give them a lot of credit for that. But I think there's something special in Tucson specifically over there. I think there's a winning culture that's being cultivated, and there's a extreme focus on analytics and ultimately like how to bridge that with baseball and getting really good play on the field. And I think they're doing one of the best, if not the best jobs at blending that, in my opinion. And I mean, if you look at their success last season, won a super regional, made it to Omaha. So um, that's not a fluke. That's a lot of hard work and a lot of smart guys putting a very strategic plan together to help a lot of those players find success. So yeah, I attribute pretty much everything I know to those guys, and they're always checking in on me and helping me to grow and learn. So
Yeah, I had to sneak that one in. Good friend of the show, Bobby Dahlbeck, would be very happy to hear the Arizona praise. I've heard it from him for years about what's going on down there in Tucson. So, and he is a good example of it. Obviously, having some success at the major league level and still having a long pro career going. So, shout out to Bobby Dahlbeck in Arizona. But all right, I got one last question for you here before I let you slide. So we are heading towards mid-August, and the end of the baseball season is very, very near. You had a pretty long season. I feel like, getting signed, starting your career, getting promoted up to Low-A. So you're well on your way in your pro career. But now that we're towards the end of the season, is there anything you would like to accomplish by the end of the season, whether it's statistical, physical, mental goals, anything? Like, what do you want to accomplish by the time the season is over?
yeah, I think I don't really focus on that stuff. Like obviously I want to have great outings. I want to have great numbers. I want to strike out a bunch of guys. I want to have a low FIP. I want to do things like that. But I think that's a result of putting in good inputs every day and really just enjoying every day I'm out here. I think the good Lord's looking out for me, and he wanted me to be on this path for a reason. So just staying true to where he wants me to be, and that's where my feet are, and really just enjoying every day, because I view this as like I shouldn't be here. Like I think this isn't a fluke, but I think it's an opportunity I didn't expect to get. So treating it in that way, and really just enjoying every day as it comes.
Yeah, I mean, you're off to a great start so far in Low-A. So, Dawson, I appreciate all the time you gave me. Obviously, wishing you the best of luck as we head towards the end of 2025, which will be here before you know it. But again, thank you so much for doing this and hopping on.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me.